know is that when you go ahead and you're asking a parent to do something, you're asking them to do something for you. In any relationship, the more you give to someone, the more you're able to get back from them and ask them in return. If I was talking with someone in the audience before, and he told me that if he knows that if he opens up his text messages and he tries texting a RayzeIt that he wants to get for his campaign, if he sees the last text message that he texted the guy who was last year's campaign, he did something wrong. And that's the most important piece to know. But that's just a zoomed out point that you have to have the relationships. I kind of break it down into two important components when you're trying to recruit and bring raisers into a campaign. Number one is the mindset of the executive director, the mindset of the yeshiva, how we operate every single day of the year, how the RayzeIt operates, the mindset. And number two is the actual engagement process for the campaign. As far as the mindset is that if an executive director of a yeshiva, not to take away from anything that any of you guys do, but if an executive director of a yeshiva positions himself as, I'm the boss and I'm in charge of everything, I need you guys to go ahead and raise $1,800 for me. And as the boss, I'm telling you that's what you need to do, that's not gonna really get you so far. To take it to the opposite extreme is if you view your role as a partnership with the parents in running your organization, you view it really as a partnership. And what I mean by that is that I'll use an example. If you have 5 investors that invested into a real estate property together, there's a manager that's running the property. The boiler blows. If the boiler blows, no one is gonna think or dream that that's the manager's financial responsibility. What the manager has to do is he has to go back to the partners of this investment and say, partners, we have a challenge. Here's the challenge. The challenge is the boiler just blew, and it's not my financial, I'll take care of the headache, I'll facilitate the replacement, but it's not my financial headache. It's our financial headache together. We're partners in this. That's number one in the mindset, and that can't just be on the receiving end, it also has to be on the giving end. On the giving end, you have to view your parents as partners in your organization. That I would pitch as in the mindset of the organization in order to maintain the relationships. And as far as the engagement process, there's multiple steps to an engagement process to bring people on board. To go through it quickly, to bring raisers on board, your engagement process is that first your parents that are partners in your organization, they need to understand what's the need. Why do you need money? What do you need these 320 parents to come in? Why is that my responsibility? Because I'm the parent. Then number 3 is once I'm a partner in this, they need to understand who am I? I'm a regular parent. What am I capable of accomplishing? And just to bring out the what I'm capable of accomplishing is, and then after they figure out what they're capable of accomplishing, they have to see what the successes they want to get there. To focus on what your parents are capable of accomplishing, I was just 2 weeks ago by Mayor Senzer from Nesiva Zatara finished up a campaign. I was sitting by the campaign completion celebration. Sitting next to a parent, he tells me, yeah, I wasn't one of the big guys. You don't need to sit next to me and schmooze with me. I was like, how much money did you raise? He said, I raised $4,000 from 15 donors. The answer is, and I told him, I said, times 200 parents, that's $800,000 and 3,000 transactions. I said, you were the campaign. And when parents understand that we're partners in this and what I can do and it's my responsibility, that's how you're going to be successful.
Okay, so Baruch Hashem, I have a good relationship with some of the parents, obviously. So Yossi, I went to the parent yesterday and I met with him, schmoozing him all the time, and I said to him, okay, so we're doing this campaign, I need you to raise $5,000 for your friends. He looks at me and he says, listen, I don't do this stuff, I don't send out links, here's a check for $5,000, have a nice day. Do I take his check? Do I not take his check? Is this what I'm encouraging parents to do? Maybe if every parent, instead of raising the money, gives me a check, so I'm good to go. Makes my job much easier. What do I tell back to this parent?
First is take the $5,000 and deposit it that day. But The most important thing is that to answer that question, I can't answer that question good or bad, or is that the right thing? The answer is that it really depends on the structure of your campaign. Are you doing, in your specific case, where if you're replacing your dinner with this, and this is your dinner where you're expecting a donation from each parent, besides for that you also want them to raise, but you're not running a dinner in 6 months where you need a donation from them, then great, you got your money from them. But if your objective today is crowdfunding, you failed because you didn't crowdfund, you got the money from him. That's point number one. Which, to translate that point, is that the campaign is not about putting a big goal on the screen and getting a lot of money on the screen. The campaign it's about generating new money. And generating new money, getting that $5,000 check from him, if it generated new money and you could go back to him again, you generated new money. If you didn't, if that's his donation, I just potted myself up, you can't come back to me, you didn't generate new money, then for all practical purposes, that's not $1 million, you lost $5,000 from that campaign. And that's an important piece to know. The next point that I'm going to say to answer that question is that while you get the $5,000, even if that was your objective, to get the $5,000, you actually made $5,000 new money. Let's just say you talk to any of the organizations that went ahead and did a successful campaign where they had their parents sweat, schwitz, work in order to make this happen. There's debate whether just as, or slightly more or less, but just as important as the money that they actually raise, the camaraderie that a campaign can create between parents that actually come together and schwitz, they work together in order to make something happen for an organization, that you don't have when someone just writes a $5,000 check. That you have when someone works it, and together, he's in a room together, and he sees that we all together put this together and made this happen, and he feels like this is my effort.
Okay, if I can just chime in here for a second. I want to back up one step about should you do the campaign. Can you talk about that a little bit more, not just how you should do it, but should you even go down the road?
Okay, back to my original, where I was holding that I never did this and I don't know my parents. Okay, so I never did this, I don't know my parents. A little bit do with them, but that's pretty much it. But I see everyone doing it, everyone being successful. So how would you guide me? Like, how would I be able to gauge if I could be successful? And if I could be successful, what would it take? Is it going to be worth it? Am I going to burn myself out? Am I going to burn out my donors and my parents? Just getting to that point with the learning curve and this all the new concepts that we're going to be picking up and learning, is it worth it?
So to answer that, there is no one in the world that can come right now and tell you, Shmuel, I know your parents, and I am telling you, you should run a campaign. There is no one in the world that can tell you that, and anyone in the world who tells you that is, without the proper data backing it, is misguiding you. You need to actually go do a hands-on-the-ground feasibility test, is almost what I would call it, is what you would need to do in order to go ahead and determine if you're capable of pulling this off. There's different ways that you could go ahead and do that. There's some organizations that will create a parent committee, and they'll create a committee of 10 parents, and they'll walk them behind the scenes, walk them onto their side of the desk, and show them, here are the facts that I'm faced in my organization, and instead of telling them we're running a campaign, here are the facts. We have this deficit, we need to put up this building, this is what it's going to cost us, and bring in some parents, say, what do you think that we could do in order to make this happen? And then, that's step one. You could either go through a parent committee and then have parent committees meet with other parents, let's say a parent committee by grade, by neighborhood. You could have a parent committee that's going to try to help you with that. Or you could actually roll up your sleeves and meet, whether it's one-on-one or in small groups, with every single one of your parents, every single one, not just the 320, the tops and the bottoms also. Go through every single parent who cares about your organization. And what you want to do with them is walk them through the need, and you don't need to walk into the campaign to the feasibility test advocating your mission of running a campaign. You can walk into it with almost like an inquiry mode. I want to know, here's what we're open-minded, and I want to know what can we do. And when you do that, you sit down with your parents and you sit down with groups of 5 parents, and obviously you could plant the seed with one of those parents before that's going to be in the meeting saying, I think we should run a campaign, I think we should do this. But if you do that feasibility study, you make yourself an internal spreadsheet of parents and say, how much money do you think that you could pull in, and how much money do you think you could pull in, then you'll have a very, very solid idea of where you're holding on. If you could run a campaign, and to me the most important point is, you're not wasting on doing this because you need to run a campaign to raise the money for whatever your project is. So either you're asking for the money straight as solicitations or to be a raiser, so you're not wasting your time on that.
Okay, now, so we did this study, we decided we're going for it. Now here's the problem, that I was meeting with one of my balabatim, and he tells me that he made up between him and his friends that no one's sending me links anymore, because otherwise it costs him too much money. He raises $5,000, and his friends buy $5,000. Before he knows it, he's $25,000 invested in everybody sitting in town. However, he did mention to me that if you do something a little different, a little more exciting, a little something, then we could talk. So my question is, really, these campaigns are running every day and every week, and you see them around. If I would ask you just for some idea of how we could stand out, besides doing something outlandish, like a mud race or something. I don't know which place he did that, but I remember seeing it advertised. But
what's a mud race?
I don't know. But something within the realm of normal, just to do something a little different. Any ideas?
So to answer that question, the first thing that I'm going to say is that number one is the stats don't lie, and the stats show that it's still going strong and stronger than ever. And organizations today are still bringing in more donations per raiser than they've been bringing in the past, and raising more money. So the stats show that it's not. I may tell your friend that he should find a new group of friends if they don't want to be part of these things. But ultimately, it's something that the statistics show that the campaigns are working. And the next point is that at the end of the day, that's almost not your headache. Your headache is the relationship with your raiser. That's your headache. Your headache is my relationship with my raiser, bringing him in and getting him to take responsibility for that goal. That's his headache to figure out how to take it to the next level. And again, he's a partner in your operation. He's a partner in making this successful. And he knows that the only way that this campaign is going to work is if he brings in his $2,500 that you're counting on. He has to figure it out. And when you bring in partners like that, he can work it in order to make it happen.
Okay, one last question. Okay, a question like this. So I have a parent in my school. He's doing very well. He likes the yeshiva. We have a very good relationship. I want to ask him for a large gift for this campaign. Now, besides that, he has a big network, and he could raise a lot of money. So I would like to ask him for this campaign a gift, a personal gift of $18,000. Besides that, I know he could raise $20,000. So when I approach him, how do I balance these two asks? I don't want to confuse him, and I don't want to I don't want to lose out his gift, and I want to lose out his network. So how would I go about this?
Got it. It looks like the timer's on, so I'm going to try to do this one quick. Your question was that it's illegal to make 2 asks, and you're not able to go ahead and make 2 asks. And the way that I would position myself on the answer to that is that figure out how to go ahead and merge that into one ask. And make the one ask, I need you to be my partner in making this campaign happen. And if he comes back and tells you, I think I can raise $10,000, you could turn it back to him and say, could we get you down as an $18,000 partnership for the campaign? And between what you raise and fill in on your own, you'll take
But yeah, okay.
whichever way it goes. But the point is, can I have you become an $18,000 partner and have you fill it in on your own? And the point is, the answer to the question is that we need to figure out how to merge it into one ask of the partnership as opposed to the 2 separate asks.
I'm curious if Rabbi Gould agrees with this one ask concept.
I would ask him to match his own number.
Then he's not going to raise anything.
Depends how you ask.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next interview with Cause Match and Rabbi Leo Rukowski. Firstly, Yasher Koach, we're going to come back to question and answer shortly, and we're not done, so don't run away yet. But Rabbi Leo, can you just share with us which might